Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Today I have a very, very special friend, mentor, and guest by the name of Marshall Sylver. Hey, Marshall, how are you?
I'm always awesome, Cesar. So nice to see you too.
Yes, definitely. So for those of you guys that are watching this and listening to this, let me give you a little bit of his background so you can get to know him. Marshall Sylver is an American motivational public speaker, mentor, and personal development expert, author, educator, and a performance hypnotist. He has been performing for quite some time and has been known as the world's fastest hypnotist and the world's most well-known hypnotist and the millionaire maker. Marshall is sharing his mastery of the mind and how you can use his techniques to create irresistible influence and move to the people around you into taking regular and massive action. The number one skill you must master and continuously improve on it if you want to become successful and influential. Wow, Marshall, that's amazing. And there's so many things that, that about you that I really admire, and just being in your presence brings me this joy, and your family. And there's so many different things. And, you and I just did a book too. We did a book that just came out, as a matter of fact, yesterday. And just
your third or fourth book.
This series is going to be my third book.
Awesome. Congratulations to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Definitely. And one thing, you're the very first chapter on this book. And I got to tell you, like, oh my God, the story, your chapter is amazing. There's so many things that I have no idea you had gone through, and talking about how you were attacked and you overcame that, right? Overcoming different obstacles. Not only that, knowing your background where you didn't come from a wealthy family and being where you're at right now. Tell me more about that.
Well, a lot of things. Right before we started this interview, you and I were chatting. I just went through open heart surgery, and you were asking me how I'm doing. And I said, I'm in pain. I'm getting better all the time, and I'm in pain. And so many times in my life, Cesar, and I know you too, you embody this. I've had to remind myself. I once cried because I had no shoes till I met a man who had no feet. And, it's keeping everything in perspective. And I'm not surprised you were shocked by by what I wrote for our co-authored book. There's a lot of things people don't know about me. They don't know that I was threatened with 27 years in prison for something that I had not done. And a lot of people are learning these days, especially, the government is not our friend. And if the government sets its sights on you, they're going to come after you, and they're going to attack you with your money. They're going to have endless resources where you don't. And they want their pound of flesh, rightfully or wrongfully. They don't care. And, I watch so many people these days being wrongfully attacked, whether it's General Flynn or whether it's Lynn Wood or a number of people that are getting attacked right now because they're stepping up and speaking the truth. And it makes me angry. It makes me really angry that people, Facebook and all the social media platforms that fact check anybody that's got a conservative, truthful viewpoint, but they let the most horrendous leftist BS get published. And again, we've got all sorts of viewers watching this, and my prayer would be, I'm neither Democratic nor Republican. All I am is a truth seeker. And that's what overcoming whatever we want to overcome is. It's being a truth seeker. The truth was, I was born and raised in a very poor household. The fact is, I didn't have to stay there. The truth is, you were born in Mexico. You get it.
Yep.
Mexico is a third world country. The corruption in their government is about as bad as it is in the United States. The distinction is everybody in Mexico knew and knows that it's corrupt, where we in the States have pretended or been under the illusion that we weren't when we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, what most people don't understand is we're all in this together. We all have to overcome things. That's life. And I think that's the biggest challenge for people, you know, like you, like me, that overcome things on a regular basis. And people that just settle into victimhood is they decide, oh, well, the world's not fair. I'm just gonna have to, you know, tolerate what's going on. And you and I say, no, the world's not fair and I'm not putting up with it. No matter what happens, I'm gonna do the best I can with what I have. And I'm gonna make sure that I learn my lessons along the way so I don't have to repeat certain things any more than necessary. Yet at the same time, I refuse to get angry at life. I refuse to get angry at the game. And even though the game is not fair and that it's fixed, that's okay. I'm going to play my game as well as I can.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like about you is you talk about this in your seminars and it really anywhere. And I seen this, you know, finding your life less than perfect is a waste of time, right? And kind of going back to that, you know, you've done so much in your life. And again, I was very, very humbled to read your chapter. I've known you for multiple years now, and there was things there that, again, you haven't talked to anybody about it. But again, it goes back to that. To me, it brings the authenticity, and like you talk about being truthful of what is really in front of you, right? And there's so many different things that I've learned from you. One of those being that, and finding your life less than perfect is the waste of time. And I go back and keep reminding myself that, as you mentioned, there are times that we're gonna go through different obstacles, and we can either stay down or get up and keep moving forward, right? And looking forward. And I like the concept of certainty. So I want to maybe get your thought on that, because I love that phrase, that word.
Certainty is the absence of doubt. As you know, I was lying in the ICU. And before I had my open heart surgery, I told the surgeon, I said, if I die, I'm done. I said, except I have to live. I've already had an amazing life, and if I die, I'm okay with it, except my wife's not okay with it. And my children aren't okay with it. I said, so you need to do a good job. And the surgeon kind of chuckled. He said, of course I'll do a good job. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm precious. You've got to take extra special care of me. Furthermore, I am supernaturally favored by God. You should know that going into surgery. And I am. And we all are when we choose to be, when we claim that. I'm supernaturally favored by God. You're going to go in, the surgery's going to end in record time, and I'm going to be a rock star. And the surgeon's kind of laughing at me at this point. He says, okay. And I said, and you're going to call my wife the moment you're done with surgery, and you're going to tell her it went by faster than it normally goes, and he was a rock star. He says, okay. And that's the last thing I remember. Then they put me out. I think the surgeon got tired of hearing me talk, so they just knocked me out. And I come to, and the nurse, his nurse, is laughing. And I said, what's so funny? She said, well, this surgery normally takes 6 hours. And I said, okay. She said, you were done in 3. Wow. I said, see? She said, and everything went perfectly. I said, awesome. She said, that's not why I'm laughing. I said, why are you laughing? She said, did you hypnotize the doctor to call your wife and tell her that you were a rock star? I said, no. Yeah. And then, you know, I'm lying in the ICU, and the occupational therapist comes in, and he says, yeah, you're going to be here for about 5 days. And I said, I can't be here for 5 days. It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. I said, I have to be home by 8 p.m. on Thursday. He said, well, you're not going to be home by 8 p.m. on Thursday. I said, no, I didn't say I want to be. I said, I have to be. It's my son's 8th birthday, and I need to be there to sing happy birthday to him. I have to. And he said, well, that's not going to happen. I said, well, if it could happen, what would have to happen? Mm-hmm. And he said, because that's always what we've got to ask. No, it can't happen. I understand it can't happen. If it could happen, what would it take? Well, I can't be a millionaire. I realize that. If you could be a millionaire, what would you need to do? What would have to happen? Oh, I can't have a great relationship. I understand that. If you could have one, what would you have to change? So that's always a powerful frame and a good reference to ask. And he said, well, you'd have to be able to do 3 laps all the way around this floor of the hospital. I said, okay, 3 laps. Anything else? He said, yeah. Do you have any stairs at your home? I said, yes, we've got 3 flights of stairs. It's a 3-story house. He said, okay, you've got to be able to go up and down 3 floors of stairs without dying. I said, okay. So when I do that, you'll sign off on my papers and send me home. He said, sure. And I could tell he was going, there's no freaking way that's going to happen. And so I said, okay, let's get walking. He said, you can't walk yet. You just had surgery. You're an hour out of surgery. I said, okay, what do I do first then? Do I stand up? He says, yeah, stand up and then sit down in this chair. And he was kind of like being snarky with me. And I said, okay. I stood up and I sat down. He says, how you doing? I said, it hurts like a mofo. I'm in excruciating pain. My son's worth it though. And I said, look, I don't want to hurt myself. That's not my point. I'm not gonna push myself to the point of injuring myself. I just want to know, I want you to watch me. And if I'm in pain, I'll tell you I'm in pain. And I need to be home by 8 o'clock on Thursday. And so sure enough, I was home at 8 o'clock on Thursday saying happy birthday to my son, Maximus. And, I didn't realize that open heart surgery is a fairly big deal. And so it's taken longer for me to heal than I realized. Some other things happened though, while I was in the ICU, while I was lying in the ICU, Caesar, I was counting my blessings. And again, you and I have been friends for many years.
Yes.
And you know that I'm a grateful guy and you're a grateful man. Mm-hmm. And I'm lying in the bed and I'm thinking, number one, God, thank you for protecting me through surgery. I said, thank you for my wife and my perfect children. I said, and I was thinking about, I was lucky to be in the hospital because sometimes people can't afford to be in a hospital. They suffer through what I went through and they just have heart attacks and die in the field. Or they have heart attacks and they die at the factory or they die on the street. And I just said, thank you, God, that I had the wherewithal, the resource to be here. And I thought, what if I could help a lot of other people have resource? And I started thinking about me in 1994. I had a single idea that took me from $250,000 in debt to $2 million liquid net in the bank in about 4 months. And I said, okay, so that's how long it took you to become a multimillionaire. It took you 4 months. Can you duplicate that? And I said, well, of course I can duplicate that. And I thought, well, not everybody's you. And that's true. Not everybody's you. Not everybody's me. Not everybody's motivated. Most people have stuff. Most people, the majority, have stuff they never overcome. Bad marriages, maybe their body hasn't served them the way they want it to serve them. Bad luck in where they were born or who they were born to or any number of things. And I said, yeah, the challenge is there are also people that had those exact same circumstances and overcame them. I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dozen people. And the reason a dozen is sometimes we have bad judgment about people. And I realized that if I picked just one, I could have bad judgment and I could fail, not by my fault, by our fault, my bad judgment and them being a bad egg. And I said, I'm going to take 12. And of the 12, I'm going to mentor them all for free. Normally, I would charge about $500,000 to mentor people over 4 months. And I said, each. And I said, I'm going to mentor them for free. And I'm going to take one of them at least to multimillionaire status. And if I'm not able to help them earn up to $1 million, then I will pay $2 million to charity. And whoever I mentor to $1 million that makes the most over $1 million in 120 days, I'm going to give an additional $1 million prize to. And so that's what we're doing. It's called the Next Multimillionaire Challenge. And we are going to start accepting applications. And I tell people, look, it's not for the homeless person. It's not for the person standing in the unemployment line today. And while I do want to help those people, the best way I can help those people, the best way you can help those people is not to teach them how to fish today, that they need to eat a fish today. And so what we need to do is teach a bunch of other people how to fish so there's plenty of fish so that we can all give fish to the people that just need to eat a fish today. And so I'm going to take people that have a little bit of wherewithal, have some standing, have a lot of motivation, because it's not easy. It's not, people have accused me of getting ready to run a get-rich-quick scheme. First and foremost, the whole training is free. So I don't know who's going to get rich quick, not me, and certainly not the people I mentor. They're going to have to work their tails off for 4 months. And I decided that there's going to be an application fee. It's going to be about somewhere in the neighborhood of $50. And that for the $50, though, I'm going to give them massive value, $2,500 worth of training and value. First and foremost, 5 days of training that is the training they would receive to take them from zero to multimillionaire in 120 days. Even if I didn't select them to be mentored, it's enough. Second thing is I'm going to give them a private coach. I'm going to do group coaching with them over a month, all included in their $50 application fee. We're also going to give them a home study course to reprogram their brain with the thoughts of certainty, which is what you asked me about, regarding them being a multimillionaire today, even if the money has not yet been deposited in their bank account. And of those people that apply, and I'm anticipating thousands. I mean, the value's there. It's a simple proposition. It's not difficult to understand. We've already got people begging me. You know, I've mentioned it a couple of times on social media, and I have people begging me, pleading with me in direct messages and on social media, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. And the thing for me, what do I get out of it? The $50 doesn't cover the cost of the application. It doesn't cover the coach. It doesn't cover my expenses for the application. Every single person is going to get a private coaching session. What do I get out of it? I'm going to document the whole thing. I'm going to video the whole thing, and whether it ends up being a documentary or whether it ends up being a TV series, I'm not sure. I'm going to document the whole thing. And when we're done, whether it was one person, knock on wood, or whether it was 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 of the 12 that I make millionaires, it's going to prove to other people it's doable. And here's how it was doable, and here's why it was doable. And, you know, every single one of these people, they were one-minded. They had a single definition of purpose, that they had to make $1 million in 120 days or less. They had to. The whole world was watching. They were given constant feedback. And so because they were given constant feedback and put under pressure, frankly, they made it happen. And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing. And you said so many different things that I can take it many different aspects. But one thing that I really enjoy, you know, you talk about certainty. One thing that I really enjoy in your turning point seminars is the certainty trance session, right? And when I first got into that in I think it was like 3-4 years ago, you know, I really enjoy that. And again, it kind of takes you out of that, getting back and rewiring your brain to really start thinking in that positive aspect. And I remember some of the exercises that you've talked about in your seminars, and we talked about framing and influencing and all that stuff. So I can already see the value that this next multimillionaire program that you're doing is going to bring to the table for people that are going to be part of that. One thing that I really appreciate of the things that you have is that you bring so much. You have massive value. Like you talk about one thing, you know, in public, but then when you have everybody, you do more than that. You always give more, which really it speaks volumes for you, right? Talking about influencing and framing, that's one thing that you talked a lot in your seminars. How has that helped you? Because obviously that has been a basis for your success in many different aspects, right? You're gonna talk about that one time you went from broke to a multimillionaire. That story is amazing, and maybe you can share that one too.
You know, I have 10 siblings, as you know, and I was born and raised on a farm in Michigan that had no running water, no electricity, no phone. We were homeless twice, and so I had to constantly, as we do, as human beings, see a different reality and truly view what was going on for myself as temporary, that it wasn't my life, it was my circumstance. And I think when people start, you know, saying that to themselves, this isn't my life, this is my circumstance, it makes it a bump in the road. It doesn't make it the road, it makes it a bump in the road. And it is, anything we approach with certainty is done. Our level of commitment to something is based on our degree of certainty. When I am certain that I am a multi-billionaire, which I now am, I look at everything differently. I say, okay, what's the $1 billion idea? Not what's the $1 million idea. We got to start with millions. And if you're not at millionaire status financially, it's not in your bank account. Yeah, let's start with millionaire. And millionaire isn't difficult. The challenge is it's different. And what I mean by that is the things that a pauper, and I'll call a pauper somebody that doesn't have $1 million in the bank, the things that a pauper focuses on and stresses over and makes matter in their lives are things that millionaires, and definitely billionaires, we don't think twice about. We don't waste time focusing on them. Somebody overcharges us $10 on our cell phone bill. We go, okay, maybe my assistant can talk to them for 10 minutes, but I already pay my assistant $20 an hour. So if they talk to them for more than $30, I lost more money. So don't make it a big deal. Either, let it go already or change carriers. If you really feel that adamant about it, just change cell phone carriers. Whereas other people, they just make unimportant things matter, and they spend their whole life being busy. They spend their whole life attempting to be right rather than rich, and they lead a miserable, long life. And for me, I'd rather just be happy. I'd rather be happy than right. I'd rather be rich than right. And I think that the bigger challenge for most people is they're not certain that prosperity and abundance is there for them. Number one, you got to accept the fact that there's more than enough for everybody. It's not a limited universe. There's more than enough for everybody. Once you accept that, then you say, okay, if there's more than enough for everybody, that means there's more than enough for me. And if there's more than enough for me, then that means it's possible for me to have that. If it's possible for me to have that, then it's certain that I could have that because it's possible. And all I got to figure out is, how do I make the possible a certainty? And one of the ways we make possibilities certainty is we eliminate distraction and doubt. We get rid of it. I know you probably figured this out, and anybody that hasn't figured this out, what's the Spanish word for it? Cojones. It takes cojones to speak about the idea that I'm going to take somebody, at least one, if not more than one, from zero to millionaire status in 120 days, or I'm going to give $2 million to charity. The $2 million to charity is nothing. My reputation is everything. So, for me to loudly profess this is what I'm going to do, I sure as heck better do it, or I'm going to look like a flaming idiot. And so, I think most people don't have the guts. I don't think most people proclaim enough of what they'll do. And here's why. They spend so much of their energy worried about what other people think. They spend so much of their time concerned about gaining the approval of other people. I don't need anybody else's approval. I like me. My wife loves me. My God knows my intentions. My God loves me. And so I think that's a big lesson for anybody watching this podcast that wants to overcome anything, is to stop needing the approval of other people. I got a buddy of mine. His name's Ryan Stewman. And he was in prison twice, charged with felonies twice. And Ryan, brilliant man. God, good guy too. Not just a brilliant human being, a good guy. And he doesn't fight his history. He embraces it. He goes, hey, they threw me in prison twice. And, here's where I am now. And this is what I'm doing now. And so it's same thing like in the chapter that I put into You Can Overcome Anything into the book. It's a lot of stuff people don't know about me and why. And I've never written that chapter before, by the way. I've never disclosed anywhere the stuff I disclose in the chapter in the book. So if you don't have the book now, get the book and you'll learn a lot of intimate details about me. I've never disclosed that stuff. And it was hell. In fact, I think I started the chapter off by writing, "This is hell."
Yeah, that's the title of your chapter.
Because that's what it was. It was hell. I often would pray to God, let me trade places with Job. And for anybody that knows the biblical story of Job, Job had this horrible life. It was just horrible. And I often said, anything. And that's the other thing, is I think often we think our pain is worse than anybody's pain. And it's because it's our pain, so if I'm suffering financially, I think, I just wish I had money. And somebody else looks at me and says, yeah, maybe you're broke, but you got a wife that loves you. I'm rich and alone. I wish I had a wife that loved me. I give every dime for a wife that loved me. And so once again, no matter what we're going through, we think our life, is so much worse than somebody else's, which goes full circle back to that concept. I cried because I had no shoes till I met a man who had no feet. Yeah. And ultimately, no matter what, this too shall pass. And we've got to recognize not only can we overcome anything, it's right within our grasp now. And the first step to overcoming anything, though, is to surrender and find our lives perfect, because finding it less than perfect is a waste of time. The second thing is we have got to stop giving our power away. We've got to stop, blaming people and being angry at circumstances or people or, you know, our life experiences, and just say, no, it is what it is. I refuse to hold that anger anymore. Not because I want to make that person who offended me right, because I want to stop giving my power away. And then the next thing, and this is where it really is big, as you know, is I start to ask myself, okay, the things that have happened, not to me, the things that have happened in my life, how do they serve me? What's good about it? You know, you and I met and you were at a fairly low point in your life.
Yeah.
And I know emotionally more than anything, you were at a low point in your life. It wasn't just financially, it was just emotionally. And I've watched you transform. And I've seen you become this confident, sexy, gorgeous man that always was who you are. And in 1/10 of who you actually are. I see you blossoming every single day. And you're doing all the right things. These books are therapeutic to you.
Mm-hmm.
These books are therapeutic to everybody that contributes any content to the books, because myself included, we've got to look inside of ourselves and say, okay, what did I overcome? And the moment you say, okay, this is what I've overcome already, then whatever it is we're dealing with today, we say, I've already overcome way worse than this.
Right.
I got this.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that I like you talk about a lot is the rehearse, review, and revise. And I think that part of that, and I'm sure this is going to be part of the things you're doing, you know, with your multimillionaire documentary program, is that you're right. You talk a lot about rehearse, review, and revise, and I find that very fascinating because again, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, it doesn't matter what it is. We tend to give up right away, or this didn't work out, and then we don't go back to it. And I like to loop that around with the thing you said. You know, you got to keep throwing noodles into the wall to see what's going to stick. And I've learned so much from you in the last couple of years, and hence why I decided to start writing the books and doing different things, because I'm always reviewing, rehearsing, and revising, and or throwing things into the wall to see what's going to stick. What has been perhaps for you, based on those two concepts, what is your biggest advice to the people that are watching us and listening to us?
Put out crap, then put out crap 2.0. You know, I was just on, I'm talking to my marketing team on the next multi-millionaire program. And I've got 5 people on my marketing team, and I love my team. And 2 of them are kind of perfectionists. 2 of them are detail oriented. And the other 3 are different. They're more like me. And the 2 that are the perfectionists keep saying, well, we got to get this right. And we want to make sure we plug all the holes in the boat. And I said, we want to plug all the holes we see. That's true. We also have to put the boat in the water at some point. And we may discover we've got additional holes. That's a fact. So we can't plug every single hole. What we can do is have a hole plugging kit. Have an operating system that says, okay, when we put the boat in the water and we notice another hole, here's how we'll plug that hole. And that's what most people don't have. And that's not a contingency. Sometimes that hole plugging kit is just a thick skin. I'm not going to be embarrassed by looking bad. I'm not going to be embarrassed when people go, oh, look at you, look bad, or oh, they only made 900,000. They didn't make $1 million. You still have to give 2 million to charity. Well, hell, if that's the worst thing that happens in this promotion is I take one person to 900,000 in 120 days, and I still have to pay my 2 million to charity. They walk away with $900,000, and everybody else walks away with some. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. And then the next time I do it, you know, we'll have learned things and we'll be better, which is the rehearse, review, revise. Most people are afraid to keep score because in keeping score, all they focus on is their failures. All they focus on is their shortcomings. I was married twice before my one true wife. So some people would say, well, you failed twice at marriage. And my response is no. I had to marry those people to know what I wasn't looking for. I had to. Dating them never would have told me. I had to marry them. Well, you know, you were poor, and then you got rich, and then you lost it all. Then you got rich again, then you lost it all. Then you got rich again, and then you lost most of it, and then you got rich again. Yeah, I did. Well, why are you so stupid? You keep losing. And my response is, I've never been broke. I've been between fortunes. And many successful people, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Donald Trump, many very, very successful people have been between fortunes. Why do we end up between fortunes? Well, heck, we sit down at the table and we put everything on the table. and we play wholeheartedly. We don't play like other people play. Oh, here's a little teeny tiny bit of risk. No, we risk fully. We're either in for a penny and in for a pound, or we're not in at all. And I think that's the biggest distinction that most people don't get. They kind of play. And kind of playing is not playing at all. If you have 1 foot on shore and 1 foot in the boat, your butt's in the water. You're nowhere. So either get on the shore, fully commit to it, or get in the boat and fully commit to it, or don't pretend like you're a sailor. You're not.
Yeah, that reminds me, even for me, when I started this podcast, I wanted to have everything so perfect, and I was hung up on the idea of I need to have my audio, my graphics, everything perfect, because I wanted to present something good, right? And then I remember that you have to put something out, and then you're going to review it, and then you're gonna revise it, right? And it also reminds me when you had your very first virtual turning point. It turned out to be good. I mean, from my eyes, it looked pretty good. But you obviously went back and looked at, okay, we can tweak this, we can make these changes. Yet that didn't stop you from not putting that turning point in place. And to me, it was very successful. I think we had over 200 people, if I remember correctly, or something like that. It was very successful. Yet you went ahead and went back and revised it. So I like the concept of that from that perspective.
Yeah, I think that, again, it comes down to doing something. 99.9% of the population is planning on doing something, and they never do something. And I cannot stress enough, that's what's going to happen during the next multimillionaire challenge. And we call it M2 for short, multimillionaire, M2. The M2 challenge, there's going to be people that will be terrified. And I'll mentor them and I'll say, all right, you have $150,000. Put it all on this wager. And I mean that metaphorically. Put it all into your company. Throw it all into ads. Invest 100% of it into this one piece of real estate. And the person, because that's not what they're used to, will go, I can't do that. What if I lose it all? You might lose it all. It's true. That's always a fact. And then again, it might multiply 10 times over, which would make you the winner. You need to do this now. Sooner or later, you're going to have to risk. If not now, when? If not with me, with who? And again, there are people that every day they're joyful. Every day they find value. Every day they're learning. My children teach me every single day something about life. And sometimes, people think, well, they're not as rich as me, or they're not as old as me, or they're not as experienced as me. What is there to learn? Well, sometimes that's the lesson. You know what I mean? So that's the other reason I'm doing this M2 program, is I'm excited about reminding me of who I was back before 1994, back when, I hadn't yet made my first multiple millions, hadn't knocked a grand slam out of the park hit yet. And, now that I've done it, we do it again and again and again and again, because your first million is always the most difficult one to make. That's the reason you should skip it, move right to your second million. And how you skip it is by acknowledging that indeed you are a multimillionaire whose money has not yet been deposited in your bank account. And when you get that, when you acknowledge that, when you accept that, when you embody that, then all of a sudden it's not, can I make $1 million? It's okay. How do I make my next millions? Where is it? And your detector goes off and starts just looking for it. It says, okay, it's somewhere. Got to be here. It's kind of like going into an escape room. The wife and I, as you know, my wife and myself and my kids, we love escape rooms. We've done escape rooms together.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And we love escape rooms. And what I love about an escape room is there's a solution. And going into the escape room, if they give you a puzzle, there's a solution. And I think so many people look at their lives and think this is a puzzle that has no solution. This is a riddle without an answer. This is a challenge that can't be solved. And what happens when we take a look at our entire life and say, no, everything can be solved? I don't care what it is you're working on. You need $1 billion? Okay, let's focus on the $1 billion question then. Need $1 million? Let's focus on the $1 million question. How do we leverage up? I think that this M2 program, the next multimillionaire, is going to be world changing. It's certainly going to be a paradigm shifting. There's going to be a lot of people watching the contestants, whether they're one of the chosen 12 or not. There's going to be people watching the contestants, and they're going to say, I can identify with that 23-year-old girl that has, college loans that are due. I can identify with that 75-year-old couple that has been on Social Security and they know they can't survive and they have to do something. I can identify on anybody in the middle of those people, and they're going to look at it. They're going to go, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. And so I believe it's going to shift the paradigm, the belief, the certainty for so many people that it will be Nobel Prize worthy.
Yeah, I love it. Is this going to be a streaming live, or is it going to be probably pre-recorded and then it's going to be streamed at a later time?
It's likely going to be pre-recorded, and here's why. We're going to have to condense a week of 12 people's actions into 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's like almost certainly we're not going to do it live. I mean, that's another strategy is, we've got webcams everywhere, and right. you can drop in on any one of the contestants at any time and say, hey, what the heck are you doing? Why are you playing video games right now? They're already making $500,000. They're going to kick your butt. You're going to be out of the competition. That's one way to do it. Yeah. I think it's likely that we are going to tell a story once a week that's 60 to 90 minutes, and it'll just show, here's the highlights of what each of the contestants are doing.
Yeah. I don't know if you can talk a lot about M2. What are some of the expectations, or maybe people that are going to be selected, maybe the people that are watching want to apply for that, and if they're up for the challenge, what are maybe some of the expectations that they have to have coming into this program or challenge?
There's a few. They've got to apply. And the application, like I said, is $49.95, $50. And if somebody says, oh, it's so you can get rich, I'm going to lose money on every application, because number one, they receive training, and I'll talk about the training because that's another prerequisite. They receive one-on-one coaching from a coach. Right there, that blows the lid off any $50 anybody hands me. They're going to receive group coaching from me. They're going to receive a home study course that we sell for $300. So I'm in the hole with every application. Number one, they've got to apply. Anybody that thinks, I'm not going to invest $50, that's okay. You wouldn't have been selected anyway. If that seems like an insurmountable amount of money for you to put out to potentially win, then I'm not your guy. Second thing, though, is there's going to be 5 days of 90 minutes of training a day. If a person was never selected, yet just did those 5 days of training, I'm so excited about these 5 days because they will have everything a person needs to know to go from zero to $1 million in 120 days. So the second prerequisite to be considered for selection as one of the chosen, they've got to complete all 5 days. Okay, that's not asking much. The reason they've got to complete all 5 days, if you can't do 90 minutes a day for 5 days, then you're not going to do 17 weeks underneath my arm, 8 hours a day. You're never going to do it. I can't mentor you if you're so ADD, which, by the way, I'm ADD. But if you're so ADD, you can't handle 90 minutes of training a day. You can't handle being mentored all day long for 4 months straight. The third thing, and this is, and I haven't shared this with anybody, is since we're going to be recording this and we're going to be documenting this, I'm looking for good TV. I'm looking for people that are flamboyant. I'm looking for people that charm me. I'm the end all. I'm the choice. It's my $1 million prize, my $2 million to charity if I don't succeed. My reputation at stake. I am the ultimate decider. And so they're going to have to charm me. And we're going to create a wild card so that 11 of the choices will just be me. And they may be chosen by, I think, their motivation level. They may be chosen by their demographic. Mm-hmm. They may be chosen by their particular circumstance. Somebody is suddenly an unwed mother or father, and they're attempting to raise their kids. I see they're massively motivated, willing to do whatever they need to do. They really just need somebody to give them solid direction. We're going to have one wild card, and I'm not sure how to do it. Mm-hmm. One wild card that somebody in the course of our selection process will be able to get themselves selected. It may be, as an example, the person that gets the largest number of people to apply to the program, to apply, to be one of the chosen ones. It may be the person that creates the most viral campaign to tell people about what we're doing. It may be the person, God, who knows? Is something that is quantifiable, that somebody says, look, I realize you're going to have thousands of people to select from. I don't want to get buried under that minutia. I want to stand out. Here's how I'm going to stand out. I'm going to refer 5,000 people to the application process. That way you're going to say, okay, they earned it. They're the wild card. They did what they needed to do.
Right.
And so we're going to figure out, and I haven't figured out what the wild card is. We're going to figure out a wild card, because I'm a wild card kind of guy. I'm the guy that if there's 12 positions and you say one of them is determined by talent alone, my response is, okay, what talent? What do I got to do? And that's what I would attack. And then potentially, somebody else attacking that doesn't get the wild card position is probably going to get one of the other 11 positions because of their fortitude in attacking it that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's exciting, Caesar. Obviously you and I've got 850 inner circle people. I had one of my inner circle people ask me the other day. I helped the guy lose over 200 pounds of fat, make over $1 million. And he asked me, he said, so is this just going to be new students, or will this be open to your existing students? He was asking for himself. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't care. It won't be unavailable to existing students. It'll definitely be available to existing students, because I want winners. I'm not going to pick the worst possible lame horses that, right, aren't likely, that are going to lay there and not do anything while I feed them straw and say, hey, you got to get up, you got to get moving. I'm going to pick the best horses that I can see that are likely to win the race. And so, some people have approached me with the idea, oh, I need this so badly and my life is horrible and, you got to pick me, woe is me. Probably not going to pick that person. I've had other people that have said, I'll do whatever I need to do. You want me to put 10,000 people into your application process? Tell me what you need me to do. I'll do it. Mm-hmm. That person has my attention. Right. I had a woman that sent me a very, how should I say this, flirtatious video. And it was completely in good taste, massively flirtatious. And I mean, to the point where I was doubled over laughing because it was so clever. And again, that's somebody seeking to stand out. Right. And while the flirtation isn't necessarily what I'm looking for that kind of a personality. Right. I'm looking for somebody that says, look, I'm going to stand out. It's Survivor. Right. It's Survivor. It's The Voice. It's Shark Tank. It's America's Got Talent, all rolled into one. And so the people that are going to be chosen to be the chosen ones are going to be big personalities like you. And the one that's going to win is going to be that big personality that actually has some meat on the bone. Not only are they able to be a great television personality, they also get the job done.
Right. I love that. And is part of that risk taking too, and being able to get yourself out. So I actually just came and I did something, and I remember the thing you keep saying, the confidence that I've been able to build just working with you. I was actually on a 3-week TV show in Miami, and I just got back into town last week. And this is the first time that I'm being seen in national TV, Spanish show, actually. It was a Spanish show. And I was there, and it's funny because I just came from there and came back to LA. I'm out on the streets and people are like, I've seen you before. I'm like, where have you seen me? I've seen you on that TV show. You're that guy on that show. I'm like, yes, I am. So it's very interesting to see, and again, being able to get out of your comfort zone, and it gives you so much validity for the near future, right? So
I love it. Good stuff.
So my last question for you, 2 more questions for you. Number one, if people want to apply for maybe the M2 challenge, or people want to know more about your events or more about you, where can they find you?
So I'll answer the second one first and the first one second. To find out more about me, Sylver, SYLVER.com. They can check me out there. They can learn more about me, SYLVER.com. And this podcast is being pre-recorded, and I don't know when it's going to drop. We are not yet open for application. I'll tell you, though, what the website will be when we are open, and by the time this drops, we may already be open. It is I am, the words I and then AM, I am the next multimillionaire.com. So when we are open, and we are seeking to be open within the next few days. So when we are open, it is multimillionaire.com. They'll be able to go there. Like I said, it's a $49.95 application fee. My desire would be that people take a look at the free bonuses that are included with the application package, and they go, hey, that alone is worth $50, let alone the chance to learn all that and potentially also be a part of this life-changing TV show. Yeah, and that's what I want, and that's what I want for people, because Caesar, this is a legacy play for me. This is something that I know we're going to change lives. Yeah. And I'm excited about it because, again, imagine a world where the majority of the planet isn't dependent upon some government. The majority of the planet recognizes personal responsibility and self-dependence, and everybody all at once says, look, I don't need anything from you. I'll take care of myself. I'll take care of my family. God bless you for offering, but I don't need it. In fact, if you need help, let me know. If the whole world was like that, we'd be just fine.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, definitely. My last question for you is, you've given us a lot of great nuggets and so much knowledge. What is one last advice you can tell the viewers or listeners, one thing that they can do to start overcoming whatever challenge they might be going through right now?
You eat an elephant one bite at a time. And instead of being overwhelmed, ask yourself a simple question. What's positive, powerful, and productive, and could lead me one step closer to what I want? And do that thing now. It might be something as insignificant as organizing your sock drawer. It may be something as major as calling up all the people that ever sold you drugs and telling them, if you ever sell me drugs again, I'll turn you to the police. It could be something as small as you deciding, you know what, I'm going to make one phone call a day on my behalf to a potential customer, just one. It could be something as major as deciding once and for all to get rid of toxic relationships, even the ones you're related to, and just say, look, I love you and I don't want to interact with you on a daily basis. It's bad for me. And again, eat that elephant one bite at a time, and know that you can overcome anything one little step at a time, and that those little steps become momentous. They start adding up. Pretty soon it gets easier and easier and easier until you get to the point where you're not battling an elephant. In fact, it's insignificant, and you say, you know what, I've done worse battles than this already. I got this one. This is easy. So make your first million by declaring, I am a multimillionaire today. If you need a softener that says, whose money has not yet been deposited in my bank account, then so be it. Yet let it get to the point where you realize it's not an if, it's a when. It's not a can I, it's a how do I. And when you add all of that up, I guarantee you, I promise you with absolute certainty that you can overcome anything, and it's your time.
I love it. Marshall, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate everything that you've shared with us, and it was such an amazing time to be here with you today. So thank you.
You're welcome, my friend. You are loved.
Thank you. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure you check Marshall at Sylver.com. I'll be dropping the M2 Challenge website so you guys can also check it out. And do me a favor, go get our books, go check that out, and stay tuned for the next episode. Make sure you give us a 5 rating in this podcast. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.